I was 30 to the day we signed the papers. My palms were slick from the handshake. The realtor's pen felt like a small, neutral weapon in my hand. Aaron Patel teacher, trivia night regular, the kind of guy who graded essays until to 8 M. and Leela, my fiancée, who ran blood work at North Point Medical with the same calm, precise energy she used to organize our lives. Alpharetta felt like an answer, quiet cul-de-sacs and maples that promised good fall photos. The first week was the dull numbness after moving boxes as ornaments, takeout stacked like trophies. We met neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Connors with their respectable hedges, a teacher across the street with a toddler and a smile measured in minutes. Everyone wore that small-town politeness that assumes newcomers will stay small and grateful. Then there was the house on the left, tidy enough, but the blinds were always closed. A single sedan lived in the driveway. Sometimes a man would stand in the upstairs windowsill, unblinking like someone who'd been placed there to test the morning light. The silhouette made the skin along my forearms tighten until I couldn't ignore it. "Did you see that?" Leela whispered the second night we caught him watching. I was carrying the last box books, heavy as she touched the strap of my shirt. He was just standing there. I tried to laugh the laugh you use when you don't want to admit you're unsettled. Probably a neighbor settling in. Old houses make weird shadows. He introduced himself on a Sunday with a casserole and a smile that didn't match his eyes. Elliot Hargrove, too many teeth, too much practiced friendliness. "Sorry about the window watching nonsense," he said, setting a foil dish on our counter. "Just fixing a shelf. Didn't mean to look in." The apology felt like a soup borrowed for the wrong occasion. We tried to fold him into the neighborhood map of awkward but harmless people. That map didn't hold. The late night noises began. A scrape at the back gate at 2 a.m. A shadow gliding past the kitchen window at 3. Each time we looked, there was the sound of someone stepping back and the gate slamming like punctuation. The third time, we saw him moving through our yard with his hands shoved into his jacket pockets. "What are you doing?" I asked once, leaning over his porch. He turned and smiled the kind of smile that expects forgiveness. "Keeping the kids off the roofs," he offered, as if he'd invented a charitable excuse. "These teenagers jump fences. I'm just watching." Leela and I exchanged a look. "There are no kids out here after midnight," she said. We called out. He shrugged like shrugging could erase the midnights. "Old house noises. You'll get used to it." We accepted an invitation for takeout one Friday because sometimes etiquette props up courage. You don't have. The living room smelled of warm carpet and wine that loosens tongues. At first the conversation bobbed along jobs, how long we'd been in town, the best pizza. Then the bottle emptied and Elliot's words sharpened. "This neighborhood wasn't meant for change," he said, as if discussing the weather. "It's a place where people know their place." He laughed and expected us to laugh with him. The laugh landed like a hand on my throat. Leela's fork froze. I felt the polite scaffolding we'd been propped on begin to wobble. "You don't have to say," I started. "Oh, I say what I mean," he answered, calm and dangerous. "You people move in and then the noise starts. Different food, different cars, bright clothing. It's not the same." He looked at Leela like a man inspecting a coin for forgery. "You understand?" We left with the taste of takeout and something metallic behind it. Elliot didn't bother to hide that he'd been in our yard. "Just checking things," he said, eyes lingering on my knuckles, "making sure the block stays right." After that, the small violations escalated. 3 weeks later, a brick sailed through our living room window and shattered the quiet into glittering shards on the carpet. The sound was a hand slap, quick and final. No note, no apology, just a brick, heavy and accusing. We called the police. They took our statements with polite gravity that didn't promise safety. "We'll patrol," Officer Martinez said, sympathetic behind the radio on her shoulder. She wrote down Elliot Hargrove's name. "Yes, we'll document." "No, we can't press charges without proof." We stayed up longer, lights on like a fortress. Leela kept the shades pulled. I started noticing other things, a folded lawn chair on Elliot's porch, unpaid catalogs piled by his door, the rhythm of his comings and goings in the small hours. I made lists the childish way you try to measure what you can't control. Janice across the street brought casserole and gossip. "He's been like this since his wife left," she said. "Trouble with alcohol, bits of a bad history, but don't let him get in your heads." We tried not to let him in our heads. We tried process, document, record, escalate through channels. We bought a cheap security camera and mounted it above the back gate. The camera caught tonight's. Night 1, a dark figure at the gate. Hands splayed against the wood, the gate dropping with a bang. Night 2. A man moving through the yard, lingering by a window with his hood pulled up. We watched the footage until we could count the seconds by heart. Armed with pixels. We took the footage to the precinct. The detective listened and then said something I hadn't expected. There's a cottage law that might help harassment, trespassing. We can file. Hope walked in on shaky legs. We filed. A temporary restraining order was floated. Hard paperwork, hard to enforce. Elliot went to court and behaved like a man owed mercy. The judge issued a warning. For a little while, Officer Martinez walked her beat with a bit more brass. Safety didn't arrive as a delivered package. It came in small increments, and then, suddenly, a neighborly confrontation. At the block meeting, Elliot stood and talked about quality of life. Some neighbors nodded, others shifted uneasily. A young couple who moved in last year stood with us and said, "This isn't right." A few people came forward with similar stories: late night pacing, small evasions, too many comments. The neighborhood's veneer cracked. For a handful of weeks, we thought we'd passed the hole. We planted a strip of lavender out front. Layla painted the back fence bright teal because she believed color could be armor. I took boxes down from the kitchen shelves like a man reclaiming territory. Then the note arrived. Not a letter, just a Polaroid slipped under our front door. A picture of our living room taken from outside, the wreath on the wall visible. And in the background, almost hidden in shadow, a figure in Elliot's upstairs window. On the back, in thin messy script, "Stay." We packed at night. There was no dramatic scene. We moved at dawn, stuffing our lives in the boxes in the trunk of a borrowed sedan like people smuggling hope. We drove until the map blurred and the house receded in the rear view. Our new place was a second-floor apartment across town. It smelled different, cleaner, less forgiving. The city felt like a net. There was safety in being one of many. Weeks later, after boxes softened into furniture and routines returned, Leela found an envelope wedged under a cookbook. Inside was a single Polaroid, our new front door, a sliver of mailbox, and in the window, almost impossible to see, the dark flicker. On the back was one word: watched. The photograph tilted the room again, not with the immediate terror of broken glass, but with the slow knowledge that some things follow. We'd done everything right. Police reports, court filings, neighbors who had spoken up. We'd packed and left. Yet the trace, whether Elliot or someone wearing his shape, had traveled with us, like a shadow crossing a street. There's a particular cruelty to ordinary horror. It doesn't come with masks and daggers. It arrives as glances and slow intrusions that teach you how small you are in a world that wasn't built for you. We learned that lesson the hard way. Sometimes leaving is survival. Sometimes leaving is the only way to stop a story from closing on you. Some nights I stand at the window and watch the streetlights sketch halos. I check the deadbolt twice. Leela sleeps across the bed, steady and fierce. We talk less about the house in Alpharetta now. We talk more about whether we'll ever feel comfortable picking a neighborhood again, about kids, about names, about the small rituals that make a home. Every so often, when the radio is low, I think of Elliot and how a single neighbor's bitterness can rearrange a life. People will say we overreacted, that we gave power to fear. Maybe they're right. Maybe we amplified it by leaving. But when I look at the Polaroid on my kitchen counter, its edges curling like a stubborn line, I remember what fear taught us. That home isn't just where you keep your furniture. It's where you can close the blinds and not be watched. We tried to build that again from quieter pieces. I don't know what comes next. I only know this: when strangers stand in your window and don't blink, you learn to carry the light. The end.